This is my first video, and I'm going to tell you the correlation between pronunciation, phonetics, and phonology. And after watching this video, you will find out that pronunciation is closely related to phonetics and phonology, and therefore studying phonetics and phonology will be an advantage to improve your pronunciation. Okay, let's check it out. Okay, we start with the definition of pronunciation first. So pronunciation deals with how we make sound, how we produce sound or speech sound. And I guess it is important skill. It is important skill that finally can make our communication effective and efficient. And for that matter, so I think that we better study phonetics and phonology. It must involve the study of sound or speech sound, especially human speech sounds, by involving the two linguistic branches, phonetics and phonology. Because those two branches of linguistics help us to identify potential problems of pronunciation, and they also help us to acquire an acceptable and comprehensible accent of the language. You just take an example. If we mispronounce certain word in English, for example, the word hoax. So we have the word hoax here, and some Indonesian mispronounce a word by saying hoax. So I think that if we say hoax, it will create misunderstanding. Our listener might not understand what we are trying to say. So of course it makes inefficient and ineffective communication, because if the listeners do not understand what we are talking about, then they might take some time to think about what you said before, or they might ask question, what is that? What do you mean? Or maybe they will ask you to repeat what you have just said, and that makes your communication not effective and not efficient. Okay, so then we try to discuss the process of pronunciation, or how we produce a sound. So the first step that we do respiration. We take a breath to get some air into our lungs, and then we push the air up from our lungs through our throat and the vocal cords in the larynx, and then let the air go through the area of the mouth here, through the tongue, teeth, and lips, and sometimes the air also travels into our nose, into nasal cavity. And then to change the sound we want, we usually use the articulated organs, just like the tongue, the teeth, and things we have in our mouth, to shape our mouth and flow the air. And we control the shape of our mouth and flow of air correctly for clear pronunciation. And that makes people understand us more easily. You know, we can see the picture of the process of producing the sound here. Okay, let's take a look at the parts of the human organs here. We're going to discuss the organs that makes us possible to produce a sound. So the important or the most important part of the organ is the lungs first here. We have two parts of the lungs here. So we take the air from the mouth and then when the air gets into the lungs, then of course that we have to push the air through the throat and passes the larynx there inside the vocal cords and then go up into the area of the mouth where we can shape or we can articulate the air or the speech sound into whatever the sound we want. Yeah. So we have the second picture here showing the movement of the air coming into our body through, sometimes through the nose, sometimes through the mouth. It depends on you. Both are effective. And after that, when it reaches the lungs, then we try to push the air. The air goes up to the throat, passing the vocal cords here to produce vibrations. And then it reaches the area of the mouth, and sometimes it reaches the nasal cavity through the nose, and then we shape our mouth, our lips, our teeth using our hard and soft palate to produce a certain speech sound. Okay, now let us see the comparison of phonetics and phonology. And those two are very important to improve our pronunciation skill. Okay, let's see the first item here for phonetics. A subdiscipline in linguistics. So here in phonology, it is also discussed as subdiscipline in linguistics. And phonetics describe and analyze speech sounds. The same, we also have the same thing in phonology. But phonetics here deals with the physical aspects, yeah. So we try to produce a sound in a physical form, in the form of a sound. And phonology here deals with the cognitive. It means that it involves our brain. Yeah? It involves our brain to differentiate each speech sound or the pattern of speech sounds. And phonetics most deals with the production, transmission, and perception of the speech sounds of all human language, of all human languages. And phonology only deals with a particular language, specifically discussing how the speech sounds form patterns of speech sound. And phoneticians investigate how speech sounds are produced. And phonologists investigate which function a sound has in a language. And the last thing, phonetics deals with how to produce sounds of vowels, diphthongs, and consonants, while phonology deals with how to differentiate pattern of sounds, let's say sound with aspirated pronunciation as in pot and not aspirated as in plot. Okay, then we have three phases of communication process. This is the aspects of phonetics actually. So we have the first, the production. It is called articulatory phonetics. So articulatory phonetics here tells about how the organs help us produce the speech sounds using our vocal organs. Like I said before, we have mouth and things inside the mouth. We have lips, teeth, hard palate, soft palate, the uvula, and things like that. And after we produce the sound, it comes to the air, yeah? It comes to the air, travels in the air in the form of sound waves. That's what I call acoustic phonetics. So acoustic phonetics deals with the transmission or the travel of the sound wave into the listener's ears. And we go to the third phase here. The reception. The reception of the speech sounds by the listener's ear. That's what we call auditory phonetics. But here, I'm not going to discuss further about acoustic phonetics and auditory phonetics because it is dealing with, let's say, physics, yeah? Physics, especially if we talk about the transmission or the travel of sound waves. And we are talking about psychology. If we talk about how we understand, how we perceive the speech sound process in the brain to create understanding. And the only process of communication that relate closely to the pronunciation is articulatory phonetics. This is something that we are going to discuss further because articulatory phonetics discusses how we produce the speech sounds using our vocal organs. Okay, I have explained this before. Just remember that articulatory phonetics means the production of the speech sound. Acoustic phonetics deals with transmission or the travel of the sound waves. You know, sound waves is a speech sounds. Yeah. Speech sound, the form of speech sound in the air. And auditory phonetics deals with perception, how the listener's ear receive the sound wave, yeah, of the speech sounds that we have produced. This is the picture of the sound wave here, and let's say here, this is let's imagine this is the mouth. Yeah, we have produced speech sounds, and then after they coming out from the mouth, and then it travels, transmit in the air in the form of sound waves. Yeah, in the form of sound waves here, and then the sound waves get into the listener ears, and then it reaches the brain and create understanding. Okay, we have problems dealing with the phonetical aspects here, and the problems we have is you know that English is unique here. I think that each language has differences. Yeah? Each language differs with other language. For English, one of the specific characteristics in the speech sound is the P aspirated sound. So of course, if we compare with the Bahasa Indonesia or Indonesian language, that kind of sound doesn't appear in our language. Okay, let us compare the words pipe and pipa. So if we say pipa, we don't give aspirated pronunciation for the sound P here. Just pipa, ordinary pronunciation. without pushing the air. Unlike this one, if we say this word pipe, we try to pronounce this word with by giving pressure to the air. That's what I call aspirated P. So let's practice once again. Pipe, aspirated with pressure of the air. Pipe. And in Bahasa Indonesia, we call it pipa. Pipa. Okay, with ordinary P. And of course that our mother tongue, Bahasa Indonesia, bring us problems or difficulties to master English pronunciation because we are not familiar with certain English sounds, especially with the specific and unique speech sounds that we don't have in Bahasa Indonesia. And phonetics show us how to produce unique English speech sounds correctly. By practice much or practice sufficiently, our muscles will get used to pronounce the speech sounds in English, and that makes our pronunciation skill improve. And now we go to the problems dealing with phonological aspects. So we have our mother tongue with different aspects from English, and of course I told you before that the sound patterns we have in Bahasa Indonesia are much different from English, and we are very familiar with our mother tongue. But of course different languages has different sound patterns. For example, here in English we have spit, spine, spit, spine, and spike. So in Bahasa Indonesia, the combination of the two sounds here doesn't exist. Second example, think. In Bahasa Indonesia, we don't have the combination of T, sound T and H. The word struggle, the same thing happened, not happening in Bahasa Indonesia. Okay. And vice versa, Words in Bahasa Indonesia or speech sound or sound pattern in Bahasa Indonesia, just like we have here in the word sudah, do not exist in English words. We cannot find English words that ends in ah. We cannot also find in English words that end in kar. So each language is unique, with different characteristics. And phonology here describes the way those sounds function in particular languages, and it shows different patterns of speech sounds in different languages or within the language. So phonology here tries to look at the pattern of speech sounds closely by looking at the differences between one speech sound pattern and other patterns within the specific language or between languages. Okay, I'm gonna give you the summary of phonetics and phonology here. Phonetics studies the production, transmission, and reception of speech sound, while phonology studies different patterns of speech sounds. So both of them, both phonetics and phonology, deals with the study of speech sound, especially human speech sound. Remember, human speech sound. So we are not interested in animal sound or sounds produced by others, yeah, or other creatures. We are talking about human speech sound that are used by human for communication, and we don't discuss the snorting sound or cough sound or things like that because that is not for communication. And phonetics, it studies phones, while phonology, it studies phonemes, yeah, the smallest unit of sound. Like we study a how to what's it differentiate a sound in certain patterns of a word. It is descriptive linguistics in phonetics, yeah. While in phonology, it is theoretical linguistics. Descriptive linguistics means that we are trying to look to discuss the sound by looking at the physical form of the sound, how we produce it, how it sounds. And in phonology, we are studying only one specific language, but it can also involve in two languages, two different languages. But remember, it focuses on the speech sounds pattern. And phonetics is more universal. It doesn't study one particular language. It studies all languages because we focus on production, transmission, and reception. I mean, all languages, all language speakers must round the lips when they say "oh." Indian people say "oh" by rounding the lips. Indonesian people say "oh" or produce "oh" sound by shaping our mouth in round shape. And other people do the same thing. Yeah, so any speakers of languages make their lips round or shape lips round to produce O sound. That is the aspect or the scope of phonetics. But phonology deals with the patterns. Each language has its own speech sound patterns that do not exist in other languages. So it's unique. Yeah. So in phonology, we can compare between patterns of speech sounds in one language and in other language, or we can also differentiate the speech sound patterns in one language, in one specific language. It is also possible. Okay, guys, I think that's all for all explanation about the correlation between pronunciation, phonetics, and phonology. And I hope that after watching this video, you will be able to see how important phonetics and phonology is, especially to improve our pronunciation skill. See you in my next video. Thanks for watching.